This is me talking to my main character, who's in jail. I visit him in jail. The cell became silent. Anyway, instead of writing the still, I decided to have my characters invent a literary movement from Italy in the 1970s that didn't exist. It would be an academic hoax. The characters would invent the biographies of those poets, write their poetry, forge microfiche articles about them, and eventually give an academic symposium on their discovery of this long-lost Italian poetic movement. This is Morgan. Well, Vulcan Kirill and I did that when we were at Columbia. Vulcan almost got expelled because he was a history major, but his dad gave the university a huge endowment. They let it slide. Exactly. That's what the idea became in your universe, Morgan. When I was a freshman, I worked for my professor, the one who taught the class I took my senior year of high school. He ran the Kelly Writers House. He invited me one evening to have dinner with the Pulitzer Prize-winning poet John Ashbery. The poet must have been at least 72 years old. He came to dinner with his lover, a man in his 40s. I remember my professor asking me to tell John Ashbery about my novel idea. I did. I explained the fictional poetic movement, and I waited for a response from this famous poet. Did he respond? After a long pause, he said, "You are a very beautiful boy." I just kind of gasped awkwardly and thanked him. And then he said, "It's a very good idea, very Borgesian." That felt like a compliment, as I loved Jorge Luis Borges, the Argentine poet, writer, who should have won the Nobel Prize. And this was a Pulitzer Prize winning poet. His most famous work is entitled Self-Portrait in a Convex Mirror. The other comment seemed awkward given that I'm straight and his lover was sitting across from me, but I also took it as a compliment. To be honest, I agreed with him. I wasn't arrogant, just realistic. You are a very beautiful man. That's a little awkward, Morgan. We are in a jail cell together. You know, I had a cellmate in this same jail who was gay. I was proud to have a gay cellmate. His name was Keanu. He told me a lot of great stories about being gay in San Francisco, about being homeless, about being addicted to heroin, about being a prostitute. I've also been homeless in San Francisco. I've also worked as a prostitute. I worked for women and he worked for men, though. I remember when I was a prostitute, a gigolo, I guess. I always used to have Viagra around because I dreaded having that conversation. You know, it's fine. It happens to all guys sometimes, but can I have my money back? It's how I feel about Adderall when I'm writing. It's my job. Let me do my job. I'll take Adderall to do it. If I was still a gigolo, I'd be taking Viagra. If my livelihood depended upon my physique and I wasn't competing with anyone, so there wasn't any league to kick me out of, I'd take steroids. It isn't cheating, it's not competition, so I take Adderall. Sorry if people don't like that. Anyway, I met a lot of my heroes in this jail. Really smart, talented young men. A lot of them come from the projects of San Francisco, from Fillmore, or from Oakland, which is my second birthplace because that's where I met the real Maggie and God. I got great heroes I met in this jail, like King Darius of Bruno, Darius Coleman. I told him the moment I met him in Pod 1A, the worker pod, you know, there was a Persian king named Darius, and he's a hero, and he's a king, King Darius. He's a big black man, huge. He might look intimidating, but he would only kill you like a bear, a teddy bear. He'd kill you with hugs. He told me that, but it's true. The San Francisco DA, like an idiot, considers him a three-strikes candidate. Someday I want Darius to be my financial advisor. Fuck the law about being a felon. We'll get around it. And I went to school with the Sultan of Brunei. No offense to him, but I'd take Darius, King of Bruno, over the Sultan of Brunei any fucking day. And then there's Kendall, the Kenosha kid, that's what I called him. And KJ, and Matthew, and DeMarcus Wright, and Marcus Wright. One's white, the other's black, or black than white. And they're both heroes. And Shorty, he's a paisa, Mexicano. He can run a line in the kitchen. I mean, by being the team leader, like nobody's business. He's about 5'3". And then there's Art Cash Clark. He's about one of the coolest motherfuckers I've ever met, you'll ever meet. He was Darius' cellmate. And there's Psycho Mike, who despite his name is nothing of a psycho. And Joaquin. He's not even 20. Maybe he is now, but he gave me better counseling than any of the mental health professionals the system introduced me to, and he ought to be a counselor someday. And Chewie. Chewie. Russia. There were actually 2 Chewies and 2 Russias. One Russia was my cellmate. He ran with the Hells Angels or something. But he and Big D were the biggest dudes in the facility. I mean, huge. He's a big teddy bear, so don't let him fool you. Don't get scared by him. He's got a lot of tattoos. He looks like a big, tough gang guy, but he reads a lot and has beautiful children. He got a divorce, but maybe he can work that out someday when he gets out. And the other Russia, well, he was in a Mexican gang. He was a Soreño. I thought he was a Chilango, which is impressive because he's a Russian. And he speaks Spanish better than he speaks English, but he speaks both really well, and he's a kid. And the other Chewie, he's dead. He OD'd from what I heard on his birthday. And Tone. Tone's a norteño. And Greñas, he's a Soreño. And Migo. New York. New York's real name is Antoine Savad. He's my barber. Always. And TK. And Anthony. And Menace. His name's Alfredo. He's a norteño. Like a lot of my heroes, he's in a gang. But don't let them fool you. They're good people. And Low. Low Hill. He really was skeptical of me. But he warmed up to me in the end. He ought to be out of that fucking hellhole. Chasing Tail. And Phil Hill. And Cold Hearted. Cold Hearted's just a kid. And Dre. And Willie Reimer. And Archie. And my boy, the Samoan Wonder, he's still a kid too, but he's out now. And Nicosia. El mejor amigo de un pelotudo argentino es un Nicosia. No te olvides, Pepe, José González, y José Riveras, y Catracho, 3 Catrachos, de hecho. Y Chapín, y Oso, familia. Mi gente, norteños y soreños algún día. Porque la paz es la victoria. Because peace is victory, my brothers in warring gangs. I hope we can sit side by side. Or I'm going to die trying for that too. Not because I'm trying to butt my head into where it doesn't belong, but because I don't like it when my brothers kill my brothers. My soldiers warring against each other. Fuck that. I can't forget my brothers and my soldiers in Chester County Prison either. Some of them I grew up with, like Dennis. And then there's Cocaine Akbar. And my brother, Frank Washington. And then there's David Duncan, my brother in San Bruno, down for murder. But he didn't do it. He might have just turned 20. I thought you were telling me about Johnny Scuffles. I'll get there.